How's the cheese, James? Is the cheese any good?
I want some cheese. I want some wine. Sorry, we're just practicing our rat faces there.
Rats don't drink wine, okay? They eat cheese.
Rats will drink the wine if offered
Before it's time?
The rats that I know drink the most expensive wine available. They order from the right side of the menu, which my father used to accuse me of on a almost nightly basis. Not that we ate out nightly.
Pity.
That I used to pretend. Mind you, yeah, so big day. Let's see, what's happened today? Well, it's the second 4 years of a Liberal government, though a minority government.
Well, our friend John McMahon pointed out that a minority government, on average, lasts about 430 days. 440 days, about a year and a half, that's it.
Oh.
Because there's going to be they're going to table some legislation, there'll be a vote of non-confidence, election. And I think they all want it because nobody's happy with this. They want to control.
Well, but
politicians don't want to share, they want to control.
So what, we're going to go back, we're going to have another campaign and everybody's going to try something different? It's like, hey, you know what? That ad placement on the Facebook pages, put it down another quarter of an inch and let's have another election and see how that does.
I think
see how that converts.
Because they'll table something and it won't. This is a coalition.
So you mean there's hope for the Green Party to win yet?
They picked up 3 seats.
I know. How about that, eh?
How about that?
I know. Well, you know what? Here's the thing. If they have another election, I'm going to offer our digital global marketing services to the Green Party.
You mean you didn't already?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you probably forgot.
Well, I was busy.
Okay.
But, now that they've proven that they can actually pick up a few seats, I mean, why not?
Yeah.
We got a rate of conversion that we have been able to develop that tells us it's going to cost us X to create a lead out of a campaign that will generate a multiple of X. And so the whole system is limited only by how much capital you apply to it. Are you familiar with Renaissance Technologies?
Is that a name of a company?
It's the name of a company. It's a private company.
No.
It's an asset management company. It discloses $68 or $100 billion under management or something. The assets under management are almost owned entirely by their employees. You can only become a client of Renaissance by invitation.
Is this the guy? This is a guy that runs this, right? Who's a brain genius?
Well, he's a computer scientist, and most of the employees are computer scientists.
What's the guy's name? Do you know? Because I was trying to remember.
Well,
I saw
Robert Mercer was one of management.
Okay.
Remember, and he made his money with Renaissance Technologies. But so Renaissance Technologies basically is an algorithmic platform that
scalps the market.
Scalps the market. At least that's what it used to do. Now, because Renaissance is Renaissance, I'm assuming that they've moved on quite far from that because other people have managed to figure out how they do what they do, and now it's a crowded place. So they've gone to new areas using their quantitative analysis.
Right.
And much like digital marketing, the ability to reliably generate capital from the stock market, once you have the right algorithm, is a case of how much money can you afford to throw at it. And so if the market is comprised largely of these algorithmic strategies that have determined that given this set of rules, do this, until that doesn't work anymore, then do this, it's no wonder you can't make any reliable predictions as to the direction of any widely traded asset because they're all being jerked around by all these algorithms.
Right.
And then you got to wonder to what extent do the writers of algorithms incorporate the effect of other algorithms on a target asset that they're trying to model.
Yeah.
And it becomes really, like, I don't know about you, but my brain hurts. That makes me want to smoke a lot of marijuana. But I've kind of given up on that because that's actually not a good solution when confronted with complexity. Do not smoke marijuana when confronted with complexity if you're my type of brain, which means hot and batten, pretty much.
Yeah.
Anyways, coming up today's show, Colin Fisher was here. I actually had, I think, about 7 conversations with Colin. He broke his back, told that story. He's invested in a million different technology companies. Told that story. We talked about, 30 companies. Basically, we recorded 7 episodes in about an hour. Anyways, Colin Fisher is now going to be providing regular analysis on Canadian technology stocks in his capacity as portfolio manager of the StableView Asset Management and its associated investment portfolios. After that, we're going to talk to Oscar Joffre, who is involved with a private company called KoreConX. And why should you care about a private company called KoreConX? Well, KoreConX is blockchain for private companies such that you can track all of the salient points of a private company just as you can a public company without it actually being registered with a exchange. Anyways, here, oh no, we don't have any news. Uh-oh.
We got olds.
Do a chart analysis of the S&P, why don't you?
Yeah, well, here's the S&P. This is the, actually, I've got a chart of gold in here.
I inhaled a dust bunny, I think. If I keel over and cack right now, Mother, I love you. I leave my dog to my significant other dogs. I didn't keel over. Okay, problem solved.
Yep, 5-day chart, S&P. Here we go. I want to just show something here quickly.
You got white lines, vision, dreams, and passion.
Look at this. Look at this. Bounce up here. This is what we've been doing here for the last day, trying to get through 311, 3 to 15. Here we are now back under 3,000. And as this happened, this little drop here, gold firmed up as well. So there's some cross connected.
Gold firmed up.
Yeah, just a little bit. Just a little bit. It's been in sort of lackluster, lackadaisical.
I've noticed
lethargic.
it trading range bound between 1480 and 1505 pretty tightly over the last 30 sessions.
It has. It has.
And you know, it's interesting to me that the message when the commodity price is so tightly controlled by the derivative markets surrounding that commodity, and when I say control, I don't mean somebody calls up and says, "Hey, make the price this." I mean you flood the market on the buy side and the sell side in a futures commodity derivative of the asset we're talking about.
Yeah.
Then you are able to influence the price and the trading activity of traders in the actual physical asset in the spot market. Is that not correct? Was that too? I went on too long.
That's the problem. You know, I'm like looking at these pictures because I don't have to know a lot. I just have to know what generally happens when certain patterns present themselves.
Oh.
So you ask me a very, like a professorial question.
Professorial?
Well, it's, yeah.
I don't like sartorial. If I was professorial question in a sartorial outfit, that would mean I'd be asking tough questions wearing a suit.
You'd be trying to get a suit made.
I'd be wearing a suit.
Yeah, what about tonsorial? What does tonsorial mean?
Well, never mind that.
I don't want to never mind that.
Tonsorial means
has to do
with your hairdo.
Yeah, it has to do with a barber, yeah.
Right. And then...
so you might want to see a sartorial guy and a tonsorial guy at the same time.
Well, not in the same outfit, though.
But sometimes they work together.
Only if they make stuff out of hair cloth.
Yeah.
Merkins.
Yeah.
Colin Fisher, who broke his back and lived to tell the tale, he used the term tenticular today. Tenticular.
Not testicular.
Not testicular.
Tenticular.
So
testicular would be 10 times as much?
Well, that was my first thought. It's a reference to the...
Tenticles.
Tentacles on your testes. Okay, we're still in the realm of G-rated. Don't everybody freak out.
Yeah.
We're not talking about
one man's meat's another poison. Yeah, we're not.
Abuse or anything. We're not talking about Justin Trudeau. The reality is that the tenticular concept is one with many tentacles.
Okay, like sort of like an octopi.
Well, except that would be an 8 tentacles.
Yeah, that would be that. No tenticular there.
Well, that's just it. How come tenticular means of having tentacles instead of octicular when all of the known animals on the planet only have 8?
Well, I think the 10 in tenticular doesn't mean 10. I think it means it's part of tentacles. That doesn't mean 10.
What are you? You seem a little bit excited about the concept of tentacles. It's like I'm trying to figure out why.
Yeah.
How many days since you've been smoking marijuana?
Since the last time?
Yeah. Is that a tentacular question?
Probably
Boy.
Yesterday.
I was going to say, judging by the length of time it's taken to
you
get
know
an
what,
answer,
you know
it seemed like 20 minutes ago. Okay, enough of that. Enough out of you. Let's do some fundamental analysis.
Okay. Do some then.
Fundamental analysis? Fundamentally, Ed,
Yes.
you, boy, let's not get started on that. Fundamentally, let's take a look at what the market's. I'm going to pull up TradingView, which is our new favorite trading platform.
I like the TradingView, and just as the market sort of dropped off here, gold rallied. They're sort of moving lock and step, it looks like.
That dirty bastard. Here's a gold chart here.
Yeah, something just changed there.
Well, see?
Yeah,
Bit of a step in it's just a bit of a bounce in the step of gold here. Blah!
Yeah, that's sort
having
of
a hard time connecting thoughts today. You'd think I'd smoked dope in the last 20 minutes or something.
I just get the sense that that maybe right now, I mean, it just seems like even the S&P seems to be always grinding, and the marijuana stocks aren't getting much love that I can see. I think we got to keep watching the earnings.
Village Farms got a lot of love from GMP Securities.
Yes.
$28.75 million at 9 something a share. That was pretty. That was heartwarming to say the least in this
Village Farms
market of broken hearts. Yeah, Village Farms.
VGW.
VFF.
That's like I said.
VGW's Valens Grow. But that's pretty cool. So what does that tell you? Well, producers that have a business model that stands with scrutiny of the mighty, mighty, mighty Robert Fagan over there are likely to be the beneficiaries of bought deals from GMP Securities. It means nothing more, nothing less. But we know GMP Securities isn't going to be trotting out that kind of cash if they don't think they're going to get it back. Are they? Answer me that, Edward.
Okay. I can't speak that language.
We've just moved to the bayou here. Now we're doing fundamental analysis from the elbow in the Arkansas River.
You know what? This stock hit $18, it looks like, over $18 10 months ago. 10 months ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And look.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so
up.
there's the big.
Hallelujah.
And then look it. We're going down. Now we're right at that level.
Oh.
It's sort of like that.
Yeah, but look at those B bands.
But look at this nice.
The trend is up.
Yeah.
The tide has reversed for Village Farms, and as we were discussing a week ago, the first indication of a bottom and reversal is going to occur in the larger companies with good revenue and sound fundamentals and cash. And Village Farms now has cash. Cash, I say.
Yeah, I think people that have cash though are going to start to
sit on the cash.
Hold on, husband it.
Husband the cash. Notice they don't say wife the cash.
No.
Husband the cash.
No, that sounds too much like wipe.
Or shopping. Which wipe, right? Wipe out the cash.
Let's
give
wipe
it to
out
the
the cash.
Now, some wives might argue vehemently that the only chance for cash to survive intact for any length of time is to wife it, not husband it. Because the husband it is going to result in serious buying of toys for the man cave, arguably. Well, look, somebody's calling me while we're doing a show.
Wow.
Should I bring them and put them on the show?
No.
Against their better judgment? It was New York calling. It's New York. Come in, New York. If you got something for me, you ought to tell me something. Trumpet, what's his name? Boris Johnson keeps getting it up the poop chute, doesn't he? From his fellow backbenchers, conservatives.
So what? I don't really, I don't even understand my, Canadian politics. How am I going to understand British? It's a slightly different system, right?
Well, it's a lot different. They talk like this, for example. That's one of the things you got to remember. You can't be talking like a Canadian, can you?
Yeah.
And you've got to use words like pete and smashing. That was smashing.
Tea.
No, we use that word here.
Tea. That's how you say it, though.
T. Yeah. Anyways, here is an illuminating, scintillating, intellectual conversation with the back-breaking, yet still with us, Colin Fisher from StableView Asset Management. Colin Fisher joins me now, portfolio manager and president of StableView Asset Management. Colin, welcome back.
Thank you for having me.
Colin, recently I've been observing a phenomenon whereby companies in the United States don't go public until they're worth at least $1 billion. They don't necessarily deliver a positive experience in post-IPO because of that. But in the case of, I'm going to use Peloton as an example, the stock came out at a $6.5 billion valuation and is now trading at a $5-point-some-odd billion valuation. Not collapsing by any stretch of the means, but not delivering the instant wealth that people have come to expect from some unicorns. So my question is, do we have any companies in Canada that are potentially capable of delivering that kind of multi-billion dollar value appreciation once it goes public?
Yeah, I mean, so Peloton is a consumer-facing company, which we typically don't have. So you'll have Facebook, you have the Googles. Canada is a B2B company. So the country, all of our businesses are primarily focused on B2B.
Right.
Primarily because we're a small market economy, we're only 35 million people, but the problems that you solve at the business level are typically pan-global, and they're going to be able to be used by a much larger audience. So if you have an accounts receivable issue in Canada, the accounts receivable issue will be the same in the States as it is in the UK, as it is in Europe, and so on and so forth. When you deal with consumer products, that's a much bigger problem. We're just not a very big market. We have very few products. You've seen this year 3 companies that got funded. You saw Vena Solutions earlier in the year got a $150 million raise. We were we were shareholders in that. We actually sold into that raise. Clio out in Vancouver recently raised, I think it was about $250 million. And I don't know what the valuations are, so I wouldn't be surprised if they're raising $250 million that they're already at a unicorn stat. By the way, a Canadian unicorn is a narwhal.
Okay.
And those are real. Right. Our unicorns are real. So a narwhal, so I believe, but there's actually some truth to what I'm saying. There's much more real revenues behind these companies. They're much more investable in many. And then the last one of relate was Verafin out in Newfoundland. And so we have them already. We just typically don't see them surfaced for a whole host of reasons, primarily because a lot of U.S. money is coming into those, and they'll stay private longer, or they'll just get bought out writ large. We have many companies. Canaxis was a $1 billion plus, is a $1 billion company. Descartes is a $1 billion plus company.
These are not exactly household names, though.
But again, Descartes is business to business. It's supply chain and logistics for transportation, for whatnot, but it's a very solid business. Constellation Software, a bit of a different bug in that they're buying up different companies primarily. So it's a bit of a thing of things.
Right.
And then you have Altus Group. So Gary Yeoman founded Altus Group. That's now a $1.5 billion company. We don't, and by the way, I don't own shares in anything that I just mentioned so far. But Altus is an excellent company. They own software called Argus. They do a bunch of tax consulting. Gary Yeoman founded that company. Gary Yeoman was also a founding investor in Real Matters, and Real Matters is I think it's a few bucks away from $1 billion. So we have a lot of companies that go public that then are $1 billion companies. I think part of the problem is that they're not very sexy. Right? Peloton is sexy. It's forward. It's consumer facing. It's an interesting company, and so because it's not, the same reason that a company is interesting because it's consumer facing, right, is the same reason why a lot of these B2B companies are less interesting because they're company to company. So a lot of people, it won't ignite the imagination. Gary Yeoman recently, we're part of a company, invested in a company called iLookabout, so we're big shareholders. There was just they bought some assets from a company called Clarosity. We had to unfortunately put the company into foreclosure.
iLookabout is up on the screen right now. Is that a holding of yours?
That is our hold. We're a big holder in that.
Okay.
The spike of recent was they presented at our technology conference. We do this every year. We had I think we had a little over 500 people this year in attendance, and they presented on the big stage. So it ignited quite a bit of people's imagination. So here we have Gary Yeoman, who founded $1 billion company, Altus. He's was a founding investor and board of director member at Real Matters. Just recently, James Kelsey joined the board of directors. James Kelsey was the former vice chairman of commercial banking of Bank of Montreal. So he just recently retired. He's one of his first boards that he's joined is now iLookabout. I mean, there's a reason guys of that caliber are joining the board of directors. And then most recently, they just got $3 million of term loan and line of credit. So they have very good cost of capital, very low cost of capital. We have a CEO that has built $1 billion, has been part of $2 billion companies that have grown. So narwhals or unicorns are prevalent in our system. The vast majority are private in nature, so the access is very difficult. I've mentioned to you before, we're launching, we soft launched the concept for Garrison Creek, which is going to help invest in a lot of these companies on the balance sheet side in an equity friendly way in the growth phase of a lot of these companies. But you look at these companies out there, there's a lot of companies that come out. Acuity Ads has gone from a very small base. I don't know, I think they're in the $100-200 million range right now. They could easily get into the $1 billion range, I think, in the next 3 to 5 years.
Sure.
I think iLookabout, they're now, I think they're, if you spitball, it's around 30 million if you look forward, if you make a guesstimate. And so their current enterprise value to revenue is very, very low. I think it's close to like 0.85 or something like that.
Okay.
With someone like a Gary Yeoman at the helm, who's had proven to be able to do it not once but twice, I think you can look at this growing materially from where it is now.
Right.
So we do have them. I think there's far more than we give credit. Part of it is we just don't do the fanfare around it. Like every time a company that breaches $1 billion, you'd think someone would make some sort of noise about it, but we don't. We do it like the States builds a WeWork that is now literally imploded.
Yeah, well, that's one of the fundamental differences between Canada and the U.S., for example, is that you can raise a lot of money on cotton candy in the United States before the belief falls out of the system, and you've got to explain yourself. I mean, case in point.
Yeah, I think I think one of the big fundamental differences is that Canada, because of the capital constraints writ large for technology, is that you have to maintain some sort of orbit of profitability, like towards break even. You can't just be burning money Mach 10 and just going for land grabs.
Unless you're a cannabis company, but that's over too now.
Well, I mean, listen, I was never part of that. I never understood it. And again, that's consumer facing typically, right? Which is not our typical strength. But there's a lot of money that will go into these concepts, and then eventually the wheels fall off. But that happens a lot more in the States, because if you get a winner, it's just such a big winner. It's just a massive winner. Whereas in Canada, we have far more winners of the 250 million, 300 million, 400 million, but those are the redheaded stepchildren that are unloved by the venture world, and therefore they don't typically get funded. And what happens is a lot of these grow up in, Texas is another one. I think they're in the hundreds of millions of dollars, supply chain and logistics for hospitals. They also do the LCBO. We still own shares in that company, I believe. Very good company, really interesting company. So when you look at a lot of these companies, there's this pattern of boring. This pattern of solving a very specific problem. There's a pattern of understanding the growth curve much more normally for us. The US wants a more vertical growth pattern, and therefore they will fund it, and there's both good and bad to that. There's a lot of, for every Facebook, there's hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of dead twitching bodies on the side of the road that were like MySpace, for example, right?
Napster.
Napster was more of the sharing platform, but not wholly dissimilar. So those will get funded. And they'll figure out how to monetize. They'll figure out what the actual market is for it. Whereas, the Gary Yeomans of the world that build an Altus that's doing taxation for property, where when you think about it, they're back in, they do a lot of the systems for MPAC, Municipal Property Assessment Corporation, which is every house in Ontario gets a tax bill from MPAC. Huh. It's actually the largest tax authority in North America. It's the second largest in the world. But that doesn't ignite the imagination. Most people you tell, do you get a tax bill? And they're like, yes, I get a tax bill.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I looked at the company and it was, I understood what it was doing in the real estate space. But it didn't excite me because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, well, is this going to capture market share from traders who are looking for the hot thing to invest in? Is it going to capture market share from investors who are looking to participate in a longer term development curve?
One of the reasons we built this, like the deal we put together, going back to the Garrison Creek concept, what we wanted to do is leave a calling card of what a deal would look like if a Garrison Creek went in and invested. Now, StableView is the investor in here. The deal post-acquisition was 0.65 EV to revenue, where all of their comp, if you take a slice of different comps, they were trading at 4.5. So what we've said is we're putting the deal together and we're leaving money out on the table for you to go and pick up.
Right.
So these types of deal, we want to make it so that we are perceived as being shareholder friendly and equity friendly when we go on the balance sheet, or if we take both positions. We are both equity holders and debt holders in this particular.
This was financed at 0.5x of revenue to EV?
Yes.
Wow.
0.65 when the deal closed.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I see, that's what you mean. But again, you look at the trading and it's like the market doesn't really appreciate it.
Well, it started to appreciate it post the deal, post the tech conference. You'll see that the volume has started to pick up. But listen, this is a smaller company, and it's not Apple or Google. So once these pieces of news happen, it doesn't nothing. It's not like there's a million eyeballs on this thing. The deal closed between Clarosity and iLookabout, I think July 18th. I was in a hospital bed in Austria when that damn thing closed.
Sure.
So that's one of the issues, is that there's just not a lot of eyeballs on these things. There's a huge, the cannabis is interesting because from the day they legalized it, all stocks are down. Like it was the peak, was the anticipation of, like, maybe not all of them, but the vast majority, the industry writ large. I think the ETFs are all down from the day of legalization. And so part of it is because now they're like, well, what's the next catalyst? What's the next catalyst? So that's catalyst driven with massive valuations. This is the opposite. There's tons of catalysts that are already baked in, and the value, I believe, will start to be realized over time, which is why we're big investors in the company.
Great. All right, we'll leave it there for now, Colin, and have you back soon. Thanks for joining me again today.
Thanks for having me.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook. Make sure you never miss a show by subscribing to our YouTube channel and clicking on the little notifications bell. If you're interested in getting monthly actionable investment ideas in the cannabis space to your inbox, subscribe to the newsletter at MidasLetter.com. So, yeah, iLookabout. ILA on the TSX Venture.
London, Ontario.
Yeah, Gary Yeoman from Altus, built Altus into a $1 billion company, built Real Matters into, I think it's almost $1 billion company.
Wow.
And now iLookabout is doing the same approach with the same sort of idea. Solve a specific problem that is in wide use on a business-to-business basis. Strikes me as something that I will have, very limited understanding of, based on my experience. But,
sure, but I'm looking here at a 6-month chart where we're at 6-month highs. It looks like. Mm-hmm. Let's look at a 1 year chart. Yeah, so we're at close to 1 year highs. Looks like the stock's trying to break out of a basing pattern. There you go. There you go. There's a 1 year chart. I'll put up a 5-year chart. Why not? Why stop there? Okay. Well, we've had. Whoops. Oh, I just stabbed myself. Okay.
That's one way to get out of the mess.
Look at. We got rallies, falls, rallies. You get the picture.
Yeah.
And here it is. So now we're trying to. one of these days, if they keep delivering on fundamentals, and sounds like they got the perfect guy to do it.
Yeah.
This guy's a winner with a big W.
Big W.
Big.
Huge W.
Wig.
I. As the I is also large.
I walk about.
I look about.
I walk about.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's not confuse the viewers any
All right.
more than we have to. We've still got 30 minutes, and we don't want them totally confused too early. Totally confused.
Toodly.
Boy, we're having,
Yeah, you
we're
don't-
having
don't
linguistic issues. We're
Hey.
having data feed issues today. We're having sobriety issues.
If you eat a lot of beans, there'll be a lot of toodly.
Oh, and we're having scatological humor issues now. Thanks for dragging us down there, Ed.
Yeah. Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Now,
Okay, let's
okay.
talk about something smart, shall we?
Yeah. Let's talk about.
Magic mushrooms. So, some people that we know on the street have launched a deal that contemplates bringing legal psilocybin to market. Quick close-up of my screen there. Those are psilocybin mushrooms that I'm looking at.
Where?
Right there.
Oh.
And those little puppies there, they
those
get you good
actual-
and high.
No.
Yeah.
Are those like little beans or are those little?
No, those are mushrooms.
Are they growing?
They're growing. They were just harvested. So psilocybin mushrooms, these are psilocybin cubensis. It basically contains about 10% by dry weight of psilocybin.
Right.
Psilocybin is a hallucinogenic compound found in nature in psilocybin cubensis, psilocybin cyanesins, and a bunch of other silly psilocybin plants. Have you ever eaten magic mushrooms?
Yes.
What happened?
You get low. You get in a different. I've only done it a few times, and when it really hit me, and I can tell you, all I could remember was everybody's talking about what they thought was important. Nobody was listening to anybody except themselves, and this cacophony sort of permeated a room, and it was just pandemonium.
In short, you were hallucinating.
Well, I don't think I don't think I've ever
Why?
hallucinated.
Because it looked real?
It just everything seemed so damn funny. It just seemed like,
That's okay. That's a long roundabout way of getting to you laughed your head off.
oh God, oh my God.
Right, okay. And so metaphorically and actually, psychiatrists even will chime in on this fact that laughter is among the best of medicines when it comes to psychological issues. So the reason that Colorado has now decriminalized psilocybin mushrooms, magic mushrooms, is because they are interested in advancing the understanding of medical applications potentially for psilocybin and other plant-based hallucinogens in terms of alternatives for drugs to treat psychotic or psychiatric and psychoactive conditions. Whoa. Anyways, I'm going to confuse myself here any moment. There's a company that has now started to raise money for a situation where they're going to extract psilocybin from truffles.
Like this would be high-end magic mushrooms.
Well, apparently there is a content of psilocybin in truffles that does not engender a hallucinogenic effect when you're eating truffles. But if you were to isolate the psilocybin that is apparently in truffles and concentrate it, you could in fact. So anyways, this is one of the first publicly traded, or soon to be publicly, or one day going, I shouldn't say that because we don't really know, but it wants to be a publicly traded company in the cannabis space. Bruce Linton mentioned he had invested in one as well. And so now I'm, starting to wonder, is magic mushrooms going to be the next investment craze?
Well, okay, let's take a look at, if it said...
You can't exactly pull up a chart now, can you?
No, you can't. But how many people say, like, let's say the population of potential pot smokers is 10, how many would that be? 10, 15 million? I don't know.
Potential pot smokers?
Yeah.
Well, everybody.
Well, except
Potential.
babies, you can't.
Babies can smoke weed.
Okay.
Just got to roll them tiny little joints, tiny little vaporizers.
Yeah.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Like, never mind this 18 years old crap. You got to start them young, I say.
So the
Start
point
them young.
is, the audience for marijuana and the audience for cannabis might be the same, but experience is a lot of people that smoke pot have never done mushrooms. It's maybe going a little too far.
Oh, well, certainly the...
But although it is organic creature or organic.
Entity. The psychoactive effect from cannabis on one's perception of reality can be a little bit more intense than that of under the influence of cannabis. Psilocybin is way more intense than cannabis.
Right.
Psilocybin, you can get yourself into a series of hallucinations from which it's difficult to voluntarily emerge if one has consumed enough psilocybin. Don't ask me how I know this. But I find it interesting that the trend globally is towards decriminalization of plant intoxicants.
Yeah, like in other words, if it's a plant,
It must be good to go.
Yeah.
Jesus brought it here. God brought it here.
like poison ivy.
God's gift to mankind.
There you go. You know what?
God's gift to
You're tired because you're never itchy. So you've invented poison ivy.
Poison ivy.
So you wouldn't be itchy. You'd be itchy all the time.
Poison ivy was designed by God to prevent extramarital sex. Because where else are you going to do extramarital sex in the cave days? In the bushes, where nobody can see you.
Okay,
And
so
thus, poison ivy, itch, end of extramarital relationship.
okay.
Arguably. I know a few people who got bad cases of poison ivy having extramarital sex in the bushes. Not kidding, not making that up. It was in high school.
What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jesus.
In fact, I could tell one story. I haven't seen either of these people in since high school.
Maybe you should wait till they've passed.
Well, then that might be too late to tell the story because we're all of an age. Anyways, I'm not going to name names, but this was at high school, and if they're watching, they know who they are. But yeah, they snuck away at a bonfire one night in, I'll give you another hint, Burgoyne Woods, and they apparently got a little intimate and acquired a case of poison ivy in areas that you could only acquire them if you didn't have your pants up.
Come on.
I'm serious.
They're rolling around in the bushes.
Roll in the hay. Anyways.
Yeah.
When you invest in a public company, the great thing about a public company is you've got a regulator who is saying this company must report X, and here is the official location of all those documents. That hasn't existed for private companies, but now it does. And my next guest is a gentleman who is a principal of a company called KoreConX that actually provides blockchain-based tracking of corporate events and features on a public forum with permissions-based access. So in other words, you don't want your little shareholder knowing how much is in the bank, but you do want your 30% shareholder having access to that information. Anyways, Oscar Joffrey is with KoreConX, and listen to this. Oscar Joffrey joins me now. He's the CEO of KoreConX. Oscar, welcome.
Thank you.
Quick overview, Oscar, what does KoreConX do?
Wow, quick overview. We are the world's first all-in-one platform that helps companies and all their stakeholders gain access to information that they may need. So shareholders need to look at their portfolio, board of directors look at the board packages, management look at the direction of their capital structure of their entity.
So it's a management platform for publicly traded companies, private companies?
Actually, dominant is the privates. Okay. About 99% of our clients are privates. It's all about the numbers, right? I like the public capital markets. It's efficient, it works fantastic. But we're moving into a new emergence in the private capital markets.
Right.
And for that reason, there are going to be more private companies today, like KoreConX, that are acting like public companies, but we remain private.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so tell me, what is you mentioned to me just before we started that you think private companies are about to explode, and why is that?
That's a great question. So up until now, we've always been focused on the public companies. You and I, we get a 3-letter word for a stock symbol. We pick up our phone, we get everything, right? Mm-hmm. That power of that efficiency gives us the ability to trade and move that security around.
Yep.
That's why anybody can invest.
Right.
In the private world, we don't have that. We haven't had it, even though the securities allow liquidity. But now with the emergence of blockchain, everything has changed. What does that mean? It means that we have a community of 450 million private companies worldwide.
Wow, there's that many.
There's that many.
Wow.
There's only 100,000 publicly traded. That's it, worldwide, versus 450 million. So people go, oh, that's a great big number. Let's look at Canada and the US. So between Canada and the United States, every year, 152,000 companies raise capital privately. In 2018, the SEC issued that private companies raised $3 trillion versus $1.5 trillion in the public markets. So what does that mean? It means that investors are keeping their money in the private market, but having now finally the ability to have liquidity in the private capital markets.
Sure, through this platform?
Through our forms of platforms and many others. So there's going to be broker-dealers operating not stock exchanges, we call them secondary markets.
Sure.
And where investors will be able to sell their securities and others will buy.
Exempt market dealers.
Thank you. And there's already in the United States 16 operational ATSs. So there's already more ATSs already operational than there is stock exchanges.
ATS standing for?
Alternative trading systems for the secondary market. So what does the private markets need? Visibility. That's where the public markets really have a great control on. So with visibility, comes responsibility. Companies need to act like public companies.
Transparency.
Transparency. What better way to provide transparency than using a form of technology that is immutable? So once the information is in, when you own that security, nobody can dispute it. It's yours. You own 10,000 shares. And you can now trade it real time and update the cap table of the company.
Wow, so basically this gives the same assurance to an investor on the portion of the company that they own, should it be an equity share, or the amount that is owed to them in the form of debt, if it was a debt structure, and they have that certainty at the same level of certainty as the publicly traded companies, but it sounds like even more so because it's blockchain.
I agreed, even more so because in the public world, my biggest my experience has been that the shareholder is no longer connected to the company. You know that? I mean, the CEO doesn't really know you personally as a shareholder. In a private company, you know them by name.
Right.
I have companies that have 250,000 shareholders. There's one shooting for 1 million privately held shareholders.
Really?
1 million. Imagine that as a private company. So where does KoreConX? KoreConX comes in because now you need a platform to manage all this.
Right.
You need a platform to allow the broker dealers to know, does Oscar really own those shares? Is the company real? All of that on blockchain.
Okay, this is really intriguing to me. So I have a private company that is about to conduct a raise.
Yes.
They're going to raise $2 million with an eye towards getting a public listing on the CSE.
Yes.
And so we have a network of individuals who the company is going to market their offering to. Now, if we get the company on KoreConX, this cements the surety of their shareholdings and where all the shares are. Any debt the company has, any liens against the company, like everything?
Everything. Isn't that powerful?
How much does this cost a company?
Actually, no more than it costs them today. The thing about blockchain is something you don't see. You just know it's there.
Right.
It's there.
But you can always go look at it.
Through an application, which is what we provide. So the investor can log in, view that they own 10,000 digital securities, and that they can trade them or they can't trade them, and with whom, what hold periods they may have, drag along rights, tag along rights, right of first refusal. Try to imagine all the things that are in a subscription agreement are now visualized in a way that gives the power to the shareholder. And by giving the power to the shareholder, the company can keep operating without being, making sure that, do you know everything what your rights are? It's there, it's immutable.
I see.
And then broker dealers can rely on it as well.
Right. Okay, well that's very intriguing. I am actually going to sign up. So does this system provide for, like, let's say that I'm a private issuer and I want to issue some debt, and I create the terms of the debt and all of the covenants in a debenture agreement.
Yes.
Then I can upload that debenture agreement onto KoreConX. And so I'm just curious about, so what level, how does the investor in my debenture, he says, okay, I'll throw 100 grand in for you.
Yes.
How does he have certainty that you are not, somehow compromised in your integrity?
Perfect question. So, like any systems, integrity is everything, right? So we can thank the regulators once again. They created this infrastructure. What did they create? They created an infrastructure of broker-dealers. So we know broker-dealers have a regulatory obligation to do certain things before they'll sell a security to an investor. They have to do due diligence on the company and due diligence on the investor to make sure they qualified. On top of that, we have lawyers and auditors. We're not removing any of that. We're just empowering them, giving them a better way to store information that once it's been validated, how many more times do you need to be validated?
Right.
I mean, we're re-entering our data over and over and over and over again. It's getting redundant. So this ensures that when the transaction is happening on that convertible debenture and all the terms and conditions, what people don't realize that after it's been validated, there's always a lawyer, there's a legal counsel attached to this who indicates this has been done and this has been verified. And then there's the board of directors that need to okay it.
Right.
Now imagine while all that's happening, all that information is being captured on the chain, therefore you have this immutable footprint. Isn't that wonderful? We've
Sure.
never had that before.
So you've got a permanent record of all of the professionals who have put their stamp of approval
Yes.
on it and have basically risked their own reputations by
Thank
saying
you.
this is done. Excellent. Okay, now I understand. This is actually very attractive to me. I'm going to become a big customer. Now my next question is, so let's say that I am a private company and I have a funding requirement, and I decide to make use of the crowdfunding exemption. And so now, in terms of being compliant with that crowdfunding exemption and ensuring the KYC provisions are met to under that exemption, does your platform have that sort of built into it?
So really good question. So crowdfunding, which is now called issuance, so terminology, how people are fidgeting with the words. So the way people can raise capital today are two ways. One, you can go by yourself, put on your website and say, I'm raising capital. Legally, you can. You got to put your legal disclaimers in. And we provide a technology on there that will perform KYC, ID verification, AML, investor verification, suitability, signing of the documents, and including the payment. All online. So if you choose to do an offering by yourself, no broker dealer. Now, for the investor, you got to trust whether that company's real, right? There's the other way. You can go to a broker dealer, which we have over 375 worldwide. Our broker-dealer partners, what they will do is they'll do the due diligence on the company, and then they'll post the deal on their platform, which happens to be our technology again, and it will do the KYC AD verification. What does the investor gain here? The investor gains confidence that they're looking at the deal, not having to do due diligence. We're not opposed to either. We're providing the technology for those to do it. We're not a broker-dealer. Our relationship with our entire ecosystem worldwide is non-financial, so we're never compromised. We pride ourselves in our charter that when a company comes to us and says, Oscar, here's my company, can you assist us or can your platform help us find a broker-dealer in the US or in Canada? Yes, and the platform does it, and it does it all at no cost to the company. The company has to meet its regulatory obligation. Now, if it wants to do it itself, we will license them the technology, but we have nothing to do with the actual raise. They're doing it themselves.
Amazing. Okay, Oscar, we're going to leave it there for now. That's a great introduction to the company. I'll be happy to have you back as I make use of your platform, which I'm going to do.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you.
Anyways, The cannabis industry is yet again in another state of, well, let's just say that it's gotten a lot less exciting than it was.
How about a state of flux?
Well, flux implies that it goes up and down instead of just down.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's true. How about it's in a crisis state?
I don't think it quite qualifies as a crisis.
Some are in a crisis state.
Individuals are in crisis. I walk through a park full of them every day on my way home. Mind you.
Now, are you swearing when you say crisis?
Swearing?
Yeah.
No? What do you mean swearing?
Christ?
I didn't say Christ.
You said crisis.
Christ.
Okay.
And besides, Christ is not swearing. That's the name of the guy who's the son of the,
The big boy.
the big guy. Anyways, yeah, so market's all down today. But
So okay, let's take a look
oh,
at.
sorry, whoa.
What are you looking at?
Canadian Venture
Jeez.
Index just went green. Yo, well, it's right up there on the screen. If somebody would, oh, is my NDI not up? Nope, it's not. Okay, let's try that again.
I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna look at these S&P. I want to see if it can.
Okay, here we are. There we go. Now you see what I'm talking about there, Edward?
Look
See
at
that
this.
green? Look at this. This is green. See over here?
Where?
Right here.
Okay.
The Midas Letter Venture Index. Let's see what companies are driving that. The Flour Corporation is up 9.36% or 22 cents to $2.57.
And remember when they were trying to raise money,
Yeah.
and then they had to keep dropping the price, or
Yeah.
they did it a couple times, and
Yeah.
and then as soon as they raised that money, it looked like it was a lot of selling because it immediately went below the price that was offered to the. And remember in the past when the markets were hot, you'd buy an issue and the thing is moving up real quickly. Made me think that stock somehow got put up there that people are buying it to keep it up, make it look good so they can get the financing done. As soon as it's done, whoosh, whoosh, like the big flush.
Yeah, no, the selling was more or less a steady descent. So when was that? I think it was July 31st, wasn't it, when they announced it? Hold on, let's just go back in the press release. It's July 30th. Announces 43.5 million bought deal private placement was July 22nd. So July 22nd, let's go down to the 3-month look on this chart here and zoom in a bit. July 22nd is here, and then the stock price dropped. So that was the day they did the private placement at the reduced price. So then the stock improved, and there's that, what do you call that? That red cross there, Ed?
That's the doji. That's a kind of doji. With the one, the tall one, right?
The death doji.
Yeah, well, you know what? When you've got
doji of death.
it opens where it sort of closes.
Yeah.
And you got a pretty big tail, a pretty big wick. That's it. That's indecision.
Indecision. Actually, one of our new little courses here is called the 60 seconds. It's actually, I think it's less than 60 seconds. Hey, Donald, can you run that hammer doji thing that Mark did?
Yeah, do it so that then you can show me that.
Mark, can you give Donald that hammer doji video, please? Sure. Thanks. We should run those in our shows just to show everybody what we're working on here. But we're creating a database of essential bar interpretations, what different bars mean, what different technical indication patterns mean specifically in the historical context of technical analysis, which theoretically will be very helpful for newcomers to the art and science mystery, or what would you call it? Mysticism?
Arcane. I don't know.
Esoteric? Eroticism. No, not eroticism. Mythology. Oh.
Yeah. Tea leaves.
Tea leaves. Oh.
I don't know. You know what? I should have came in the show. Forget about technical analysis. I should have said I'm a specialist in reading tea leaves.
Oh, which you are.
Yeah. But I never told anybody.
Well, you just told everybody.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's take a look at some of the bigger.
Let's see where the
names in
action
cannabis.
is. Let's see where some of the action is.
What action? There is no action. But there is no action.
Okay.
Okay, let's take a look at, we're going to go to the large cap index here. Let's go to the index page. All these indexes are available at midasletter.com/cannabis. So Canopy Growth is tacked on 3.73%, 27.56, up 99 cents. So trading in a range. Aurora Cannabis also trading in the range for, call it $4.50 to $5 in the last few sessions. Kronos Group, 10.97, but really, you know what? I want to look at the U.S. version of Kronos Group.
You know what? When I look at these charts, and they've been deteriorating. They've been going from top left to bottom right.
Ooh.
And there is a bit about like some of these things have bounced, but look at that red candle there.
This one?
The one there 4 days ago. The one that caught. Remember when they did the thing in the aftermath? That candle is not a bullish candle. In other words, the selling was so
well, especially since
overwhelming.
Yeah.
They just brought it right back down. Look how big the volume candle is that day compared to everything else.
Well, but don't forget, this is the day in after hours trading that the stock was driven to 11.50, and so this red candle is the open at 11.50 on artificial stimulation extraordinaire, and the sell-off as nothing materialized in the way of news to justify the price increase. At this point, the guys who bought the options or bought the calls down here at 7.25, I think it was, sold them the next morning and went short and wrote it up and wrote it down. Basically, that was that big.
Yeah, I know, but
trade.
Regardless of what it was, that's the way it looks. It looks like it tried to break a trend and got pushed back so hard by the bears.
Well, that's exactly what happened. As we.
Yeah, good point.
As,
Thanks for bringing that to my attention.
Yeah, well, we went over this was the day it happened.
I think we should start referring to us in the third person.
You mean James should start referring to James as James?
I think Ed should be a little less agreeable.
Ed should be less agreeable.
Yeah.
To James?
Yes.
Well, but why? James is just
he's
agreeable. Generally, though he does tend to disagree with a lot that Ed says.
When you see
and interrupts him a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder what's going to be the state of the world here. What's the new product line coming up for edibles?
Edibles?
Edibles.
Edibles. Magic mushroom? Edibles. Actually, magic mushroom edibles often occur in the form of minty chocolates. The ones that I've had are. Anyways, yeah, edibles. Not Incredibles, but edibles.
Incredibles.
Anyways.
That's incredible.
You're incredible. Organogram Holdings, down 6 cents, 1.28%. Hexo down 3.39. Tomorrow is earnings day for Hexo.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that stock get...
I don't think that stock's going to be able to hang in there. Cresco Labs is down 23 cents or 2.85% to $7.85 a share. Harvest Health and Recreation lost another 16 cents, down 4.3% to $3.55. Who is up in this market? Well, Canopy Growth seems to be one of the only ones. Afria is up 1.12%, 7 cents to $6.34. Didn't really get the lift out of that, let's call it creative quarter that they rolled out. That might be a little bit mean, but whatever. Village Farms, look at up 4.87% or 46 cents on the day after it closed that that bought deal placement. But that's it for the green stocks on the large cap index, which is got to be a little disconcerting for these people, I would think.
Well, the S&P, it looks like it's where we got 2 minutes. We're at we're close to the lows of the day on the S&P, and every time we fail that 3,000 level, and again, like what Dan the charting man would say, looks like it broke out of a pattern, the consolidation pattern of I think it was August.
Yeah.
But we can't get it going. We can't get it going.
Right.
So I don't know how it's gonna resolve itself, but I got a funny feeling it's gonna be violent either way.
Okay. Well, that's all there is to tell in the cannabis space.
I mean, what other 20 seconds?
No, I know, but what else is there to talk about? That's what I'm thinking.
Okay, so we covered. Okay, let's just take.
Nothing. There's no point in just talking about things for talking.
We want to put up the bond chart. I want to see where the yields are. They've come off today about 3 basis points or 3 ticks to 177. We're going to watch interest rates, equities, gold, and we're going to watch those marijuana stocks.
All right. Well, that's it for today. Anyways, we'll be back tomorrow with some more gobbledygook, mumbo jumbo, technical this and that, and some hocus pocus. Don't forget to join us. See you then.